Welcome. Thank you so much for being back to another episode of the Black Wealth Experience podcast. And we are so excited that today's guest, you are going to you're going to watch this over and over. I promise you this, because it is about credit. And credit is one of those things that just plagues us as Americans in our society. And especially when you get to home ownership, there's so much things to know. And so we want to make sure you have every opportunity to know exactly the do's, the don'ts, the whys, the why nots. And when Alexandra starts talking to us, your eyes are gonna be glued. So I'm just preparing you. If you do not have a pencil and paper and things to write stuff down with, this is the time to go get it. Because just this next half hour, 35 minutes of your time is going to be so well spent. And so one of the things, just want to make sure that we are having a Black Wealth Housing Summit. It's going to be on June 19th. We're in 2023 if you're watching this later. And it's going to be at the Cross Purpose building, which is on the corner of Martin Luther King and Colorado Boulevard, in the same parking lot as the AME Church. So you'll have to go down a little bit. So it's right in there. You're going to want to get there. 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to feed you dinner. We're going to go over 5 things. I'm going to introduce you to 5 different aspects of this home buying ownership experience, because we know that generational wealth and personal wealth, starts with, having a home or home ownership. And so we're going to introduce you to a real estate agent if you don't already have one. We're going to introduce you to a loan officer if you don't already have one. We're going to make sure that a financial advisor type person is part of your life. We're going to make sure that you understand credit, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So we'll have Alexandra there so we can make sure that you understand the credit aspects of it. And finally, we're going to talk about insurances at some point. And so we just want to make sure 100% that you know that you can buy a house. If you are renting, and you are paying, let's say, $2,000 a month, and I say this at every single one of these, $2,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year, no, $24,000 a year that you are paying in rent. You times that by 10 years, that's $240,000. You probably come close to paying, if you're in an apartment, paying for the unit that you're actually in, and they're going to continue to rent it and rent it and rent it. And you need to have a place or a home where you can have a place to call yours, and you can start this generational wealth, and you can start this personal wealth, and you can become this person who understands money a little bit better, because options open up like you would not believe once you own a home. So with that said, I want to jump into credit. And Alexandra, you're here, and so thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for being willing to take the time to really talk about credit, because credit is one of those things that eludes us sometimes here in America, because what I see is, you have to have it to get things. And if you don't have it, you can't get things. You can't just use cash. But if you have too much of it, then it messes you up. If you don't have enough of it, then you can't get what you really want. And it's, when you go to get a house, I had somebody even ask me today, it's like, well, the person that we ran credit on doesn't have any credit. What do they do? Because nobody's going to loan them money unless they can show that they were able to borrow something from before. And so it gets great. So before you actually get started on, tell everybody how to get a hold of you, what's your phone numbers, what's your email addresses, what are the websites or whatever, if there are, that they want to go on to, how to get a hold of you, and then maybe kind of tell us your story. How did you get involved in this portion of this home buying experience, or this portion called credit that we all need? So take it away.
Well, first off, thank you so much. I'm so excited about the summit and everything that we're doing. I'm so excited about the way that you're supporting the community. And I just feel so honored to be able to share and join you on this journey, and being able to watch all of the people that are going to get to come in contact with you and take things to the next level. It's going to be so powerful. So my name's Alexandra Erlich, and I am your ally in mastering strategies for conquering the credit game. I can be reached on 303-668-0300, 303-668-0300. You can also always email me at alexandra@alexandraerlich.com, and that's AlexandraErlich.com. I'm also available across social media platforms, and I'm sure that we'll go ahead and drop that somewhere in the comments at some point here. So a little bit about my story. I started in the subprime mortgage world years and years ago. A lady doesn't share her age, so I won't say just how long ago. I will simply say that it was prior to 2008 and prior to having kids. And I found that there's so many pieces to this credit game that we don't get taught. We don't get taught in school. We don't talk about it as dinner table conversation. And really, I went on that journey, not just personally, but with my clients. And it was always, okay, we know the common goal, we know where we're heading, but how the heck do we get there? How do we get there efficiently? How do we get there quickly? So, with that, I went about figuring out my own credit. And it seemed like there was always this shroud of mystery surrounding the credit game. It's like, okay, well, if you do this, but don't do this, and wait, here's this option, and then there's this other option, and nobody tells you which one. And now we live in an even more complex society than we did all those many years ago, where we think that we have to shorten. Everything has an acronym. We don't just laugh, we lol. We don't just get online, we tweet. We don't just actually communicate. So when that happens, we have to take a step back and go, okay, are we missing information? Are we missing the bigger picture? Is there something that is really a great piece to grab onto, but we need to explore and learn and study and understand everything else that we cut out of that answer? And I find that happens all too often in credit. And I found that happened for me when I had my daughter without medical insurance, when I went through a really nasty divorce, when I went through the financial crash of '08. And it's one of those things. Life happens. The hardest and most challenging of life happens to the best of us, because how do we grow? We grow through adversity. We grow through challenges. We grow through experience. And so for all those reasons, I'm grateful. And my credit wasn't so grateful many of those times when those things were waylaid and thrown right in the road. It's like one of those really bad train wrecks that you don't want to watch, but you can't take your eyes off of. You're like, wait, oh my gosh, let me rewind and watch it again.
No. Please, no. Exactly.
No, wait, now what?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I think that that's the big part of it. And we've turned our society mentality wise into, okay, so we know that there's potential for this train wreck. So now we have choices. Do we still want to get on the train? Do we want to be a casual observer and still possibly risk getting hit by flying debris? Do we maybe now want to take an airplane that might crash worse? What do we want to do? I think that has completely exercised and shown itself in the credit space. So let's just talk about a couple basic things that we can all do with credit as far as nice, easy rules of thumb that allow us to take advantage of the opportunities in the homeownership market, in that true wealth creation space. And what does that look like? But I want to start it off with this. Credit is a game. And if we look at it as a game, not that's built against us, not that's stacked in some mythical corporation's favor, but a game that as soon as we know the rules to it, we can beat. It's amazing how easy and actually fun it can become.
Gotcha.
I know
most people don't know a lot of this stuff, right? They have no idea how to play the game. And for some of us, we don't even know we're in the game. It's just, it's happening to us and around us. And we don't see the signs. We don't know it's available. And it just destroys, some people's lives because they really don't understand that, just because something happened in life happened to you 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, doesn't mean life that has to trail you for the rest of your life. But when people don't know and they don't have the tools that I'm sure you're going to talk about a little bit today, then it's one of those games that is happening to you and around you without you being able to be a participant. And at least for me, whenever I play a game, I always play to win, and I always at least want to know that I have the opportunity and the chance to win. And so I love the fact that you're calling it a game, and then going to show us some of those tools to be able to do it. So, yeah, lead on. Keep talking about what we got to do, what we don't got to do. I love this. This is intriguing. It's great.
Yay, good. So let's talk about the playing board. And when we think about the playing board of credit, yes, we can talk about the pie chart, and I'll talk about percentages. But what I want you to think of, and I keep telling myself I'm going to find one on Amazon so I can show like an actual visual reference, is, do you remember those little games that you'd get out of like the quarter vending machine? And it was a little square and it had little squares in it and it made a puzzle and you had to pop out the circle and you had to move all the pieces consecutively to get it to work, almost like a Rubik's Cube.
Yes, I do remember those and struggling with them, but then, finally get them and trying to find the easy ones. Sometimes they weren't so easy, but yes.
Yeah, but if you moved one piece, some other piece had to move also.
Yes.
That's the first part that I want us to think about with credit, is if we move one piece, odds are we're moving multiple other pieces with it. So first things first, we have to play to win. Secondly, 35% of your score, and only 35% of your score, is payment history. So that's not that much. I mean, it's there, but it's not a huge amount, which means we have to be aware of which bills we're paying on time. I would highly encourage everybody, highly encourage us to write down, even on a sheet of paper, and we can use like old school, different color pens, whatever.
I love it.
Yeah, well, or like stickies. I love these. I love color coding things. So I call this the red light, green light game. And we're going to have 3 sections in this. Section number 1 is going to be our red light items. What I mean by red light item, these are the things that show up on our credit report that we have to be on time about and that we have to be 100% diligent about. So what are the things that are going to go in that red light category? It's going to be your mortgage once you have one. It's going to be your car loans. It's going to be your student loans, your personal loans, and most importantly, and this is truly the red light category as a general speaking, your credit cards. All of those things are going to go in that red light category.
Okay.
And the reason they go in that red light category is because guess what? They're visible. These are the things that if at the end of the month, I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet, these are the things we pay first. Second category is the yellow light category. These are the things that if we go far enough late, they might end up on credit, but they're not there every single month. So this is going to be our cell phone. This is going to be our cable bill. These are going to be the things that we have contracts with, and we should pay as close to on time as possible. But overall, if we went 30, 60, even 90 days late, they wouldn't hurt our credit report. The other thing to be careful of on these yellow light items is don't add them to your credit report, which is what we would do on Experian Boost. Okay. So if nobody tells you to do this, don't do it. Because this is your leeway. This is your grace period. Like, hey, I had a bad month. Oh gosh. Nobody cares if your gym membership's a little bit late. I mean, you might be frustrated that you don't get to go to the gym, but it's not going to hurt anything. So those are your green light items. Your green light items are the things that even if you go late, nobody needs to know any better. This is, I borrowed some money from my sister. I borrowed some money from my dad. These are your green light items. The other things that go into green light items are the things that, and it's interesting. Once you make this list, I will tell you, most people are most terrified of the green light items than they are of the red ones. Because here's what goes into your green light items. Your childcare. Guess what? Your nanny or the daycare might be upset, but they'll still let your kids slide versus you're not going to show up anywhere. You might have a very uncomfortable conversation, but it's still going to work out for your world. The doctor's office, it might be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's probably a yellow or a green light item. You can set up a $5 minimum payment. Whereas we think about our credit cards and go, that was just for a pair of shoes. But that's not that big a deal. That's actually the one that when we talk about this payment history and we talk about some of these other categories is really going to have substantial impact and is going to take away all that wiggle room from us.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now,
It makes so much sense. You're right. The babysitter or the guy who mows your lawn. If you have somebody doing that, they're not going to put the stuff up on your credit and ruin your life. They might be mad at you and scream at you and yell at you, where maybe a credit card company isn't. But ultimately, the credit card company is the one that has the power to really truly make an impact on what you can do and where you can be and where you can live and all that kind of stuff. So that's so true. Thank you.
and that's the whole thing. Like, we have to remember the game might not be comfortable. We might not
Mhm.
like the answers.
Yeah.
But if we stop for a second and go, okay, whew, these hard conversations, I'm going to grow so much from them. I'm going to grow from telling the lawn guy that I know he's going to have to go find another lawn, but maybe I can introduce him to 8 friends of mine, and now he's going to do my lawn for
Mhm.
free. Those hard conversations is where we have the highest opportunity for growth. The random phone
Okay.
call from the credit card company saying, hey, you owe us, and by the way, we charged you a late fee. There's nothing uncomfortable about that. So it doesn't give us the same opportunity for growth. But the
That's
way
true.
the computer reads that data is so much harder to manipulate. A computer can't talk to us. A computer can't go, oh, that makes sense. Computer can only do
Yeah.
what it's told to do.
Wow. Yeah, you're so right. So right. Oh, that's cool.
Okay. So
So,
that's something I
yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go, and then I'll ask a couple questions after you go. So,
absolutely. So that's where we want to focus on payment history, is knowing what's on our account, knowing what shows, and knowing the due date, because we really do have a full 30-day window for all of those items as to even paying them. We might pay a fee, we might pay interest, but we don't have to actually be concerned that they're going to report on the credit report itself until
Mhm.
they've been more than 30 days late. So if we have to go 5 days, if we have to go 6 days, still focus on that red light, then yellow light, then green. Okay. The next 30% of our entire score is balance versus limit. And this is only, but also on all revolving accounts. So examples of revolving accounts: credit cards, store cards, overdraft lines of credit, personal lines of credit, and home equity lines of credit once we reach that stage in life. Now, what we want here is ideally to have our balance versus our limit below 10% on each card individually. And this is a time and space where we've all heard it, but nobody finishes the sentence. Don't close old accounts, because guess what? Odds are you're not using them. So odds are they're below that 10% mark. This is one of the main areas where we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot by closing an account just because we don't think we need it. So
Mhm.
I personally recommend keep every revolving account you've ever had open for as long as you possibly can. The way that we do that is we have to trick the computer into giving it some activity, and we want to do that at least twice a year. Now, here's like complete mind-blowing myth breaker for everybody. Credit and debt aren't equal. You don't have to have debt to have credit. So you can make a purchase on every one of these cards twice a year, go have a cup of coffee, go answer a couple emails in the parking lot, go right back and return the purchase. You don't have to buy and keep the item. You don't have to have debt to have credit.
Wow. Okay. So if you have somebody has like a Home Depot card and they really don't
Yeah,
need to do anything at Home Depot, they can go there, buy a wrench, and then return it, and it comes up as the credit and return. Home Depot is okay with it because you were in the store. It didn't take much of a time to be able to do it, but at the same time, it helps your credit. That is huge. That is awesome to know that you can do that. Okay. Good. So even if they're those cards that are those off cards that are, not your Visa or MasterCard that you can use everywhere, if it's at a specific store, then go ahead and use it. If you do need the wrench, though, go ahead and buy the wrench and then pay it off, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Great card. One of the reasons I love Home Depot, and there's a couple of other stores that fit in this category: Target, Kohl's, Nordstrom, Macy's, Costco, Sam's Club. The reason I love these cards is you can go to the checkout, swipe the card, buy the thing that you actually need, either for the discount or for the points or for the activity. Any of those reasons are
Mhm.
totally acceptable. then walk straight to the customer service desk and write a paper check to pay it off.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, you can game
so
the
you
game.
don't leave the store and it's paid, but the credit goes on to the list saying that you have the credit, and we're tricking the computer to letting it know that you are utilizing your credit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And like, let's talk about Target and Kohl's for 2 seconds. Like Target, just for using the card, you get 5% off.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to download coupons. You don't have to do anything. You get 5% off. It's like, well, okay, if my budget was $100, but I just spent $95 because I used the card, awesome. Cool. That's $5 that I can play scratch tickets with, or I can get the kids a treat and get an ice cream or whatever it is. So I love gaming the game.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, this is such good information. So give us more. Give us more.
Okay. So we have to have a revolving account. I don't care which kind. I don't care which one. We have to have one. And we really want to make sure that we're keeping the balance low on it, but that we're using it at least that couple times a year so the computer's following along with what we're doing. Next category, 15% of our entire score is going to be length of history. And this is the average of all of our accounts in an open active status. So this is why I say we have to use those cards every couple of years, because what happens if the oldest card you have is that Macy's? And now all of a sudden, you move to Wyoming and there's not a Macy's. And you're like, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to close it. Well, but you've had that account for 20 years. So how do we do averages mathematically? We have a 20-year-old Macy's card. We get a brand new car, 20 and 1 averages to 10 years. So we're still doing pretty good. But now we close out that Macy's. We get a brand new car. We just shortened our whole length of history so much more drastically.
Gotcha.
And that's where we can use the Macy's. Here's another trick. And I don't know if this will keep working, but it's working for now. So if I have a card for a store that I have no location of, we no longer have a Saks Fifth Avenue here in Colorado. We no longer have an off Saks, I don't think. At least last time I checked, they closed that one down. So what I do is I send a payment to my Saks card of $25 twice a year. And then they have a refund to me of it. Now, I have use of that money for a couple weeks, but no harm, no foul. Guess what? I still trick the computer.
Because it shows you have activity going on with the account.
Yep.
With the account. And you just send them some money and they send it right back to you, and you never even had to use the card for anything. Because they don't have a store. And if you're not traveling to New York, right, then there's no reason to try to go into the store to use it.
Yeah. And here's like a fun one for all of you parents out there. Again, gaming the game. I do this intentionally in October on all of my accounts that I just have no use for. I go ahead and make those payments. So I get all those refunds in November, and it covers my kids' holidays.
Oh, okay. I love it.
Just a little bit of a play. Okay.
Yeah, like you said, the game. All right, keep going. We're at we got 30, 35, 30, and 15. Yep. So we got a couple more percentages going here, right?
10% is types of accounts. There's 4 types of accounts: mortgage, installment, revolving, and other. It's not crucial to have all 4. You guys, I realize we all monitor our credit in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to try and talk you out of it. I'm not going to tell you all the reasons that I hate it. But what I will say is, just as much as we can game the system, the computerized automations and funnels are trying to game us every time. So if something doesn't make sense, follow the dollars. Here's what I mean. Experian, creditreport.com, freecreditreport.com, Credit Karma, especially. If you're logging into those, what happens when you start logging out? You're pre-approved. Hey, by the way, if you want to increase your score, adding another card will help. Hey, if you want to increase your score, getting a personal loan will help. Why do you think that they sell you all these things? Why are they pitching you all the time? They're pitching you to keep you logged in. They're pitching you to get you to click through, because they're getting paid as affiliate links and on banner ads. And don't do this stuff. If you know you have a mix if you know you're sitting right there and you're feeling pretty comfortable, talk to a financial professional human being.
There we go. Yeah.
The computer doesn't know you. The computer's not
Yeah.
sure if they like you. The computer's not really sure about your story. Talk to a human. That's what all of us are here for, is to support you in our entirety in any way that we possibly can.
Wow, that is cool. So as I'm thinking, so we have all these rules and these ways that credit affects us, and now we want to buy a home. What are some of the things that, in order to get in a home, that maybe some lenders, I mean, I know you used to do subprime and that kind of stuff. What are lenders looking at in order to be worthiness, I guess, and able to give you a loan or to tell you that we're going to give you $250,000 of our dollars so that you can move into this home? What are they looking for or looking at when they say we have to run your credit? And then, yeah, let's go from there.
So they're actually looking to generate this report. And for the most part, the lender's going to go ahead and put it into a different computer system called AUS, which is Automated Underwriting System. And that automated underwriting system is going to kick back some results. It's going to say, cool, this person looks good. We'd like to see a little bit more reserves. Or this person doesn't have a lot of credit, so maybe we want to see more credit. Or we want to see these accounts actually have some age to them. If we're following the rules of thumb overall, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be spot on. I'm giving you guys the general way to beat the game. We don't have to be perfect in executing every piece. If we had a late payment 2 years ago, even if we had a late payment 6 months ago, it's okay. Odds are we're still going to be eligible for some form of home mortgage, because guess what? What is the hardest piece of things or collateral to move and lose?
Is your house?
Yeah. I mean, my car, I might take my car to Poughkeepsie and go, cool, haha, try and find me now. And it's old enough that it doesn't have GPS. So
I know they can't find it anywhere. Yes.
But I'm going to have a really hard time. It's going to be a bear of a time for me to lift my house up, especially with the basement, and throw it on my back and try and move it. That's not happening. So the bank has a lot more assurance. That's the biggest myth out there. And I know that every one of the lenders we both work with and talk to is going to 100% give their thumbs up, approve this message, that we don't need an 850. We don't need an 800. We don't need a 750 to buy a house. You can comfortably be in the 600s, set a reasonable goal, set a reasonable expectation, and you can get into a home. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be perfectly imperfect and constantly executing to move that needle.
Gotcha. That is so cool. So they look at it now, your business and how you run, because you're in this game all the time and helping people learn the game. So I come across somebody who doesn't have what you call the perfect credit. They have imperfect lives, but they perfectly want to execute and play the game, and they want to move into this. How can your services, or what are some of the things that you can do to help somebody? So I have a borrower who comes to me as a lender, and they have a 603 score or a 605 score, and they're going, but I really want to buy a house. And I mean, okay, this is possible, but we may need to make some adjustments. What are some of the things that you can do to help somebody improve that score? And what's like the timeline? I've heard where people have said, well, I went with this, credit repair place online in Oklahoma somewhere, and it took them 4 years for my credit score to go up to where I could buy a house.
And the worst part about that, is they probably paid $100 a month. So that ended up costing them $4,800. That if they would have just used that same $4,800 in the first 6 months to pay off debts, they would have been done and in a home and ready to go.
Wow. So sad that they're paying that kind of money and the person's just taking it, month after month after month. Maybe send a letter here, a letter there. I mean, obviously I think that they get results, or people wouldn't keep going back to them. But 4 years for the result,
well,
could have been in a home.
Yeah. Let's think about that even in context for our own lives. Okay, 4 years ago, I'm pretty sure my son had staples in his head. My daughter had knee surgery. I had to put the dog down. Like
Mhm.
I was moving between houses. Like 4 years ago, there was a lot of upheaval. But like I actually
Mhm.
have to consciously stop and remember 4 years ago. Guess what? So does the computer. The computer's really only looking at the last 2 years. So if
Mhm.
organically I could have either spent the money and got there faster or not spent the money at all and still got to the same point, why spend the money?
Gotcha.
I think that oftentimes we don't talk about goals and we don't talk about how do we get to the goal, and let's peel back the layers of that goal and really get clear.
Mhm.
I get a phone call no less than once a day that's, Alex, I want a perfect credit score. I want to be above 800. But why? Well, because I want to
Yeah.
be. I was there once. Okay, but why? Well, I don't know, because everyone told me I should. Okay, are you planning on buying anything? Yeah, maybe a car a year from now. Okay,
Mhm.
do you plan on putting any money down? Yeah, probably like half. Then guess what? We don't need to touch you. Right now, just let time do its thing.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you know what? I need to buy a house tomorrow. I'm going through a divorce. I have nowhere to live in 30 days. Okay, cool. Let's work with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, no matter if you're working with me or anyone else, the first question should always come down to what's the goal and what's the timeline for that
Gotcha.
goal.
Okay.
Because if we don't know where we're going, what the heck are we doing?
Well, exactly. I mean, I can remember as I do, I do lots of reverse mortgages, and I'm working with seniors, and they're in their 70s and their 80s, and they're telling me they have to have these scores, these 800 scores or 750, or like you say, it used to be, and it's not anymore. And then I go, are you really going to buy something, in the next 2 years on credit at all? Like, are you going to try to buy and qualify for a new home or to buy a car? No. So
Start a business.
why
Let's start a business.
yeah. Or so yeah, it's funny. We're retired, we just have our fixed, we're happy. We're doing extra money to do repairs or help their kids out with down payments for houses or something like that. Well, they don't need credit for that.
Yeah.
At all. And so I love the fact that you're saying, okay, what is the goal? And we were talking about new homeowners trying to buy into houses and what do they need to do. And so interest rate is tied sometimes to credit score,
Mhm.
and so you may have to pay a little bit more interest. But what I tell everybody, if you're living in an apartment or you're renting, you're paying 100% interest. So that's way more than you are, if your credit's a little bit lower. We got to get you into a house. That's the key, and everything turns around. Does a mortgage, you said is one of the four types of credit that there are, mortgage installment. Does that help credit better than any of the other ones, or is it just kind of equal 25% of each?
No, actually, home ownership is one of these, on top of talking about the 100% that makes up the score itself,
Mm-hmm.
also scorecards. So it's kind of a way of saying, look, you're the best of the best, or you're the best of good. Um, I'm trying to think of a really good analogy for this one. Maybe like, okay, and there's nothing wrong with community college. I'm just using it for conversation's sake. Okay.
Okay.
Like, you can have a really good degree from a community college, but maybe the person that you choose to hire as your attorney went to Harvard Law.
Mm-hmm.
Law school is law school is law school is law school. But at the end of the day, you might choose the one that's a little bit more prestigious because you feel more secure in that. So there's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing when it comes to credit. Like, they all have the same grades, they're all a school, like that's fine. But we put a little bit more emphasis on the people that are homeowners. We put a little bit
Gotcha.
higher ranking and worthiness. We put a little bit different of a ranking if you filed bankruptcy in the last 10 years. You're gauged against everyone else that's had a bankruptcy. You're gauged against everyone else that's not ever had a collection. You're gauged on these different scorecards. And so it's,
Mm-hmm.
how do we set ourselves up for the highest amount of opportunity, let alone wealth? And that's where homeownership comes into play. So what can I do? I can help navigate all of it. I can help navigate, are we trying to settle a account that has just been long past due and it's hovering and we don't want to make that phone call? I can help with that. Do we have an account that did go to collections or had a late payment? How do we get a letter of deletion? How do we delete those derogatory items and basically rewrite our story so that the story matches? And is it the most efficient thing to do any of these things, and at what cost? So I always do a no cost consultation. We want to make sure that we're all actually working towards that same direction and getting there efficiently and cost effectively.
Wow. Well, thank you. Well, Alexandra, I hate to say this, but we are already at 45 minutes. We have been talking, and this stuff is so amazing. And we're going to do this again. There's absolutely no reason that we're not going to take it to the next level and really educate. That's one of the things different. We can, just give you a whole bunch of information. But when you really start to educate people and then give them, samples and ideas and examples of what to do, it can make a huge difference in their lives. And so, one more time, I want you to make sure that you tell everybody how to get a hold of you. And then I want you, any final thoughts that you have?
First off, everyone needs to come to the summit. Everyone has to come to the summit. Come meet us in person. Come set up a time on our schedule. That is going to be the first way that we want to get in touch. Secondly is I'm on all social media platforms. Alexandra Erlich, last name is spelled Erlich. Phone number 303-668-0300. You can reach out to me any way you'd like. And I'm always here to happily be a line of support and service.
Gotcha. So any final thoughts as we part today? And like you said, you get to the summit, June 19th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Cross Purpose. We are going to be there. We are there to help you. We want to give you a roadmap. Alexandra's going to be there. She can help you with, even just credit questions that you have. And she does that free consultation, which is huge when you give her a call. So any final thoughts that you have before we end up today?
Final thought, no matter where you are, no matter where it is that you ultimately want to end up, it all starts with a step. What's the oldest adage out there? How do you eat an elephant? The same way you eat anything else, one bite at a time. And so there is no reason to get stressed. There's no reason to feel bad. We've all been through life. And I want you to be living. I want you to be thriving and enjoying that life. So let's not worry about the paper. Paper is easy to burn or shuffle or tear up or rewrite. Let's make sure that we're living.
All right. Thank you so much. You've now just listened to another great episode of the Black Wealth Experience podcast. And so, like I said, we're going to have Andrea back on. Make sure you get down to the summit. And just remember, you can do whatever you set your mind to do. You guys have a wonderful, awesome day. See you later. Well, thank you for tuning into our podcast today. It has been a fantastic opportunity for us to show you exactly what we're trying to do in the community. And that is to help people to make sure that they have the ability to realize home ownership. And so my name is Brian Arnold. I am a lender. I'm with City First Financial. And so if you have questions, I'm not doing this podcast so that we can, rush all the business over to City First Financial. I'm doing this podcast so that we can make sure that you are taken care of, that you have a real estate agent, that you have a loan officer, that you have a credit repair person, that you have an insurance person, that you have a financial advisor, all working with you towards making your home ownership realization happen. We're also going to be talking about, wealth generation and what it means to pass on to the next generation. I do trusts and wills and making sure that the money that you've accumulated during your lifetime actually passes on to the next generation without going through a thing called probate. And so we want to make sure that we have some unique different things that we may have talked about on this thing that can help you think about what that's going to look like. So thank you again for communicating. Go ahead and subscribe to these YouTube channels, whether it's on YouTube that you're watching the video, or if you are just listening to this on a podcast, that you are subscribing to the podcast, because we are going to have some amazing guests that are coming on and some amazing content. So thank you for the blackwellthexperience.org and getting on that and just coming in and listening to us and then taking advantage of the resources that we're hopefully and education that we're hopefully giving to you. So you have a wonderful, awesome, incredible, awestruck day. You are God's greatest gift, and I want to make sure that you know that. Talk with you guys soon.